You ready, big girl?
Yeah, I'm ready, ToeJam.
Alright, let's do this.
Come on.
My name is ToeJam.
And I'm Big Earl.
So, a little while back, something that's sort of been brewing, something that we've sort of been sensing, if we've been reading the posts on Facebook and so on, was revealed. ToeJam and Earl are back, and they're taking to Kickstarter to fund it. So, Greg, can you tell us a little bit about sort of why you're bringing back this duo now?
Oh, sure. Well, I've been wanting to bring them back for years. As you know, it's been decades, and I've had a constant stream of requests from fans over the years saying, when are they coming back? And game development is it's kind of like this, where it's very up and down, and once you're into a game, you're kind of buried for a year to 2 years. So I have had these kind of windows of opportunity in between the games that I'm doing to consider doing it, and I've actually tried a few times. You may have read about that in past years, where I've gone to various publishers and tried to pitch ToeJam and Earl. I haven't had a whole lot of luck, and a lot of publishers that I approached said, oh, we think it's kind of a dead property and there aren't enough people out there who would want that. Now, with the advent of crowdsource funding like Kickstarter, it's not the only one, but it's the one we're using. There's kind of a new opportunity to just go ahead and do it. I've got a lot of encouragement from fans saying you should totally do a Kickstarter. And then there's been this like crazy wave of nostalgia recently. And I'm not sure why that is, but there's been a whole spate of articles and a lot of chatter on social networks about just nostalgic stuff. So I kind of just felt like it was time. And after I finished Doki Doki Universe for Sony, I was thinking about what to do. And there were a couple articles that sort of tipped the scales for me. One was from GameSpot that was titled, by Tom McShea, titled, "We Need a New ToeJam and Earl Game as Soon as Possible." And I thought, okay, that's kind of direct. So I just thought I'd give it a shot and started learning about Kickstarter, and the whole thing's been brand new experience. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, kind of making it up as we go along, but it seems to be working so far.
Yeah, and I guess also the gameplay premise of ToeJam and Earl sort of the recent years. There's so many roguelikes and roguelites coming out, and it seems like a really sort of the genre is just booming right now.
That's true, and I've drawn a few things from the new age of roguelike games. There's a new set of expectations out there by players, and a whole new set of mechanics that have evolved. But only in part. You know, ToeJam and Earl has its own, as I'm sure you're aware, kind of its own flavor, and it stands a little bit outside the crowd, and that translates into play mechanics too. Like, so much of ToeJam and Earl is just crazy and unexpected and cooperative and musical, and so those elements are not necessarily rogue-like elements. And so there's a lot of, I'd say the bulk of my thinking really has more to do with ToeJam and Earl-esque elements than specifically rogue-like things. I would rattle on too long if I told you about all of what that means, but that's kind of the high level, you know.
And it's also serious that you have brought them back on occasion, but you haven't really been able to bring them back in sort of the way you wanted to, because you've been involved with publishers, well, I mean Sega on all the ToeJam games, but it's sort of, yeah, I mean that is also something that must be sort of liberating, to be able to do exactly what you want with it, and then, well, hopefully the fans will want that as well.
Yeah, right. We say that with fingers crossed, right? And there's no wood to knock on right here, but yeah, that's the hope and the theory. It will kind of, at this point, depend more on the resources I have to work with and the time I have to build, more than the dictates of a publisher. Of course, there are I wouldn't call it dictates, but the desires of the fans out there and wanting to please them, and in a sense, they are my publisher now. You know, they're paying for it, and so I want to make sure I'm listening carefully to what they want. like yesterday, we just posted on our Kickstarter page some new artwork for the look based on some of the feedback we were getting for the fans, and we're soliciting input from them as to what they like. We gave them an A and a B and a C scenario and said, which do you like and why? So yeah, that's going to be a part of it, and that's new for me too, but it's exciting, when you build a game for a publisher. Like everything, there's ups and downs, right? You start out usually with a lot more money, and you can go back to them when you need more if you need it, and you can change course midstream, and there's advantages. But now there's the huge advantage, huge advantage of working directly for the fans is that I have this fat communication channel directly with them, and right now I'm getting flooded with all kinds of requests and suggestions, and I'm like jotting stuff down constantly for all these great ideas that are coming in, and it's going to be a different kind of development process than I'm used to, but I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm just hoping that I can I should say we, because I keep saying it's me and Jeff and Nathan and Maida are all doing this together, and there may end up being more people involved. But anyway, I'm hoping that we can just have the time and resources to do it all, because there's so much I want to do. Sorry, long answers. I keep giving you really long answers.
No worries. One of the things that you're changing up is you're adding a couple of more players to the mix.
Yeah.
It's 4-player co-op. How will you treat that? Will that be new characters that you're adding to the roster, or are you talking about that yet? Or?
Oh yeah, we are going to add definitely two more characters. We have to, because we are promising to do 4-player co-op. Right, so those additional 2 characters are going to be Peebo and Lawanda, which you may remember from, particularly from Game 2, Panic on Funkatron. Actually, on the Facebook page, this was a little ways back, but I solicited input from people. If you scroll way down, you'll see me asking which characters would you want most, and I got a lot of responses, but Peebo and Lawanda sort of floated to the top. I think we'll probably be introducing some stretch goals at some point, and that's one of the things on the list is more characters, player characters. And I'm not sure yet who those will be. I'm still kind of getting input from people. A lot of people have been asking for, a whole range of things. Letitia, some people asking for Lamont, some people are asking for ToeJam and Earl family members. You remember at the end of Game 1? You saw their families, and some people thought that would be fun. So, or there's other characters, like Charla or Bluna or any of the other Funkatronians. So I'm not sure yet who else.
Or even new ones.
Or new ones, yeah, that's right. For the player characters, I'm probably not going to do that, just because so much of the draw of this game is nostalgia. I think that's really what people seem to want more, and there will be a lot of new content, but I want to make sure that before we do that, we deliver all of the old stuff in a new form that people want, so they can kind of relive that joy of, all their old memories and share it with new people.
So how do you treat the music and that side of it? You mentioned how important that the sound and the music is. How do you treat that for this one?
Oh, yeah. Well, I like that question, because that's one of my favorite parts of the project, always. Well, the music, I don't know if you've seen the new music video. We just released a live-action version of it yesterday. Yeah. And, man, that's so fun to do. I hope we get a chance to do more of that. Clearly, music's a huge part of ToeJam and Earl, right? It's funk. Everything's funk this and funk that. So I work with some very talented people doing the music. Burke Trishman of Open Door Studios did the actually almost all of the audio for all my games for the last 20 years, including ToeJam and Earl 3. And he's going to be working with me on this. again too, but I'm also John Baker, who did the original music. Mark Miller too, but probably more John, who's working full time now. He's going to do a few songs, and I've got a whole variety of other people kind of coming at me from all directions, fans who, some just mind-blowingly talented, who are offering to do music, and I just want to have kind of a mix of different different talents in the game, and in terms of how that translates into the game, we're going to have rhythm matching, just like we had in Game 2. Probably, you put a coin in the coin meter and have a dance off. I also want to incorporate the rhythm matching that we did in Game 3, where you can move around and do it while you're moving, and I want to make that more cooperative, so that if you're playing with a friend, you can stand still and do it next to each other, and you'll become more powerful, and you can dance together. And we'll probably have, I don't know, that's an awful lot of, it's like a whole other game in and of itself too, and it depends, again, I hate to keep saying this, on how much we have to work with, and so we might make a more elaborate version of that, a stretch goal, just because it's hard to prioritize. I want it all, and I know I'm not going to be able to do everything I want. That's the nature of game development. And I'll keep polling the fans too and say, which would you rather have, this or that, and so I can set my priorities. But yeah, music's going to be a huge part of it, no question. So. And
but you've gotten some ways on the project already. It's not like you're launching the Kickstarter and it's a blank page. You sort of, a lot of things are in place. What's the status of the project right now, and sort of when do you envision that you'll be able to deliver to the Kickstarter backers?
Well, I'll answer your first question first, the state of the product right now. It's funny, when you go to Kickstarter, you want to get people excited and show them as much as you can. So we've been kind of killing ourselves over the last couple months to try to get a prototype ready as fast as we can and show as much as we can. The downside to that, of course, is people look at that and go, oh, the game's almost done, right? And you're like, no, it's sort of all stuck together with Scotch tape, and like that flying sequence you see of ToeJam with his Icarus wings, we've got one animation of one character flying sideways, and we stuck that in there. You can't open any presents, you can't fly anywhere else. That's all that is, and the Earthlings chase you, but they don't really damage you. There's nothing, and their AI is barely there, So it's not close to being playable yet. All that was sort of a way to communicate visually where we're going and let people kind of get a sense of what the game might look like. And even that is so early. This might sound like a lot of excuses, and I'm sorry, because I know everybody would love a definite answer to this question, and like, when will we get it? The reality is that if people want the best game possible, and I know they probably want that even a little more than they want it fast, then the answer is, I need time to experiment, try things, play test it a lot, and that means I don't know exactly. If I put myself on a very strict schedule, just like you are on a publisher, and you say, okay, you're going to kick it out the door on this date regardless, then you have to hit all your milestones. You don't iterate that much because you just got to keep blazing forward, and you get what you get. When you're an indie, and that's why I want to be an indie, you get to say, no, I'm going to pour my heart and soul into this game. I'm going to make the game I want to make, and the game that I desperately want to play myself, and I'll let it out there when it's ready, And of course, you got to find a balance. You can't spend 3 or 4 years making a game. So to give you a little bit of a real answer, I would say 2 years at the outside, somewhere between 1.5 to 2 years. It's going to be before we're done. But and we don't know yet too. About other platforms, consoles. A lot of people are asking. It's very understandable. Of course, everybody wants it on their own console, and I get that. But in order to make the best game we can, really, and I've been doing this for, I hate to say this, but 33, 34 years now. You got to focus. You really got to focus on one platform and test it and iterate it there, and then when it's ready, you move it out to the other platforms. Because even with a tool like Unity, which is great, there's still a lot of work you have to do to get it ready and debugged on all the platforms, and you don't want to split your attention until you've got your game at least most of the way done.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, you bet.
Give 'em that funk.
Feel the funk.
All right, Earl, let's go. Let's take care of some business.
I'm with you, ToeJam. I got your back.